This is the Rich Dad StockCast with Andy Tanner, the show that kicks 401ks in the asphalt and teaches you to be the master of your own stock investing domain. And here's your host, Greg Arthur.
All right, welcome to the show. This show is about a comment we got, and I'm going to go on a ledge here and say this is the bravest comment I read. I also think it's the comment everybody is thinking and too afraid to ask. So, Andy, unfortunately, I'm the spokesman here, so I'm going to ask you what somebody else wanted to know. I just want to be clear. I didn't want to know this.
You don't want me to kill the messenger?
No.
I feel like you're nervous, Greg.
I'm a little nervous.
You're asking this question in proxy for someone else.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure you're going to yell at me.
I've never yelled at you.
Here we go. Andy Tanner, Rich Dad Advisor.
Yeah.
Personal stock genius. What is the way to make the most money in the shortest amount of time?
Lottery ticket.
How about Andy Tanner? What is the way to make the most money, shortest amount of time using the stock market?
Oh, that makes it a little easier.
Okay.
What a great question. Because it is the question that everybody would like, isn't it? Who wants to make the least amount of money in the longest amount of time, right?
I'm with you.
Is it a special question? Is it an insightful question? Or is it just an honest, greedy question? As human beings, we would like the most. I mean, when we go to a job, if you're in a job, people tend to want to get the most money for the least work. If you are an employer, you want to get the most work, the least money. We're very self-serving generally. And that's a tough way because investing is about serving people, really. How many people can I serve? It sounds like this. Have you ever heard the term get rich quick?
Yeah.
So let's ask the question again.
Andy Tanner, how do I get rich quick?
No, that's not what he asked. He said,
oh, you want the real question?
Yeah.
How do I make the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time?
Which is another way of saying, how do I get rich quick? You wonder why so many people fall into get rich quick schemes. You wonder why. You're like, well, get rich quick, always a scheme to get rich quick. Why do people get lured in that? Because that's what they want. They want to hear that, and they want to hear this, what they desire. And so when someone dangles what looks like that opportunity, they snatch it up, and they get hooked in, and it's over. So let's talk realistically. I'll tell you what, maybe I answer that question realistically and honestly, and someone says, not the lottery ticket, the $1 million in 2 weeks. The maturity is tough to have for all of us to say, okay, what's reality? The ideas of, I remember often in my webinars, I talk about an advertisement I saw. I'm on YouTube, but also YouTube. And so they know who I am and what I search for and what I look like. And I just remember I get these ads coming up from people that are going to help me get rich quick because I'm interested in finance. And I remember one guy said, well, we made $40,000 in 3 weeks without doing any work. Now, to my reptilian brain, that's juicy. It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I don't have to labor. That's like the job. Most of the money was leased out of work. 3 weeks, that's nothing. That's less than a month. And I got 40 G's. I'm all ears. Tell me how. Is that reality? Why do people say those things? Because I've never sat on the beach, done no work, and had $40,000 fall out of the sky. I've always had the money do some work. I've either worked for the money or the money's had to work for me, but work was done. Value was offered. Somewhere there had to be an exchange. And I'm just going to tell you something. People do not generally throw $40,000 at something unless something good was going to come out of it. A service was given, an insurance policy was sold, there was some value tied there. And so I just ask, if all I care about is winning the lottery, I'll just speak to everyone listening, and maybe I lose half our listeners here. Maybe I gain twice as many with this talk. And I just hope when I say this, people can feel good about the reality of investing. If you were to win the lottery tomorrow, and have a $10 million, from the Publishers Clearinghouse or whatever it is, and you just here's the money. If you're satisfied with that and you're happy with that, you're probably not going to be a good investor. You'll move into, of course, then you'll move into a neighborhood, and there'll be other rich people in the neighborhood, and I'll go to that party and I'll meet you and I'll say, well, how'd you make your money? You say, well, in the lottery. I say, oh, right. Well, how did you make your money? Well, I provide housing for X amount of people, or I've invested in stocks, or I have a cash flow academy with students in 108 countries that care about what I say. There's a satisfaction. Warren Buffett, Greg, this is a great story. Warren Buffett was on CNBC, and they were filming a town hall at Columbia University, his alma mater, and him and Gates were there. And one of them asked Buffett about his life, and he said, I was really lucky because I found at 9 years old what I wanted to do the rest of my life. And notice he didn't say at 9 years old he wanted to get rich. He wanted to do the process of investing. What this guy's asking in this question is, give me results. Give me results. Lots of money, short amount. Give me results. I want results. And we all want good results. Why wouldn't we? But the difference between that guy and what Warren Buffett does is Buffett loves the process. Buffett's almost 90. I think he just turned 90, or he's going to turn 90 this year. So he's a septuagenarian, octogenarian, whatever he is. He could have retired at 65. He could have retired 15 years ago, or whatever the math is, 25 years ago. You know what he did on his 65th birthday? And 66, 67, he got up in the morning and he went to his office and he does what he loves. He never retired. In other words, with all the money, he could do whatever he wanted to do. He wanted to be an investor because it's the process he cares about. If people listen to me and they say, Andy, I just want money. I say, well, here's the process you go through. Well, I don't want the process. Skip that part. Just skip that part and give me the money quickly, shortest amount of time. How do I lose weight in the shortest amount of time? Run a marathon and starve, but boy, that's not fun. And it's probably not doable. It's probably not realistic for a 400-pound guy to run 26 miles, probably dies. Oh, lipo, not a surgeon will touch you in the world at 400 pounds. Now, believe me, I was almost there, right? And so the fact of the matter is I'm going to tell you very honestly and very sincerely how I'd speak to my own children. If they came to me and they said, Dad, I really would like some wisdom on wealth, prosperity, and happiness. And if it takes a few more years than 3 weeks, you'll still get there, because those years, you're going to get there anyway. Well, I don't want to wait that long. You're going to arrive at that age anyway. Why not be wealthy when you do it rather than get rich quick the whole time and fail? Why not just start today and say, I'm going to get in a real program because I know I'm going to be 80 someday, or die first, right? One or the other. Well, if I hit 80, why not be wealthy? Why not have a legacy? If I hit 70 or 60, right? Depending on how old I am. So if my sons came to me and they asked me that question, how can I get the most money in the least amount of time? I'd say, well, you're really asking a question about compound interest. And there's 3 elements. There's the money that you start with. It's how fast it grows and how long it takes to grow. And so it's really a question, a get rich quick question, but it's really a question about compounding. So let's look what I can control. I can't control my age. So time is the same for all of us. I can't speed it up. I sure as heck can't slow it down. And it's totally predictable. Monday will turn into Tuesday. 2021 will turn it on to that. It's relentlessly. So there's nothing I can do to tweak the time. It's going to occur. Okay. And I can't speed it up or slow it down. Okay. Money. How much am I starting with? Well, I'm going to start with where I start. Now, what can I tweak that? Well, I could either start with my own money, or I could go raise some money. So when he asks the question, what's the quickest way to do it? I'm going to give the answer, well, what's your skill set? If I'm going to ask you, this guy who asked it, I'm going to say, well, what's your skill set and what's your education? Okay, Kenny McElroy can raise $10 million in 5 minutes. Do you have the skill set and education to do that? Because that would be that would be one real quick way to do it. He can raise it in about 10 minutes. 10 million bucks, 10 minutes. He sends out a group email and he'll have it that day. He'll have commitments for it that day. So for him, he can raise 10, 20, $30 million in a lunch hour. That's pretty fast. So go do what he does. Copy him. Well, I don't know how to do that. Oh, education, once again. Well, I don't want to go through the process of learning, and I don't want to build that network of people, and I don't want to learn how to give great returns on investments to recruit that money. I just want the cash. It's kind of childish. I don't want to offend our listener because I appreciate the question. I really do. I'd like to know how to make the most amount of money in a little time. I'm in your same boat. I have the same desires. I really do. I'm not slamming the question because I feel it myself, right? I would love to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. Okay, in the stock market, it's about rate of return. And here's the deal. You're going to start with a certain amount of money, let's say, whatever it is. And people say, what's the ideal amount to start with? Well, the ideal amount would be $2 billion or 3 or 4 billion. That'd be ideal, but you have to start where you are. You got to start where you are. And that's the best place to start. We know we're running out of time, so now would be a good day, right? Now would be a good day. And with whatever I have, it's at zero or some or none or whatever. I got to start with what I got to start with. The third one is rate. And I think that's the one that can be tweaked the most. Now, here's your problem with rate. I can get you a really high rate of return, but attached to that is going to be a real high risk of losing it. So if you're really, really like me, you would ask this: how do I get the most amount of money in the least amount of time for the least amount of risk? Would be the third part of it. What everyone would like that. And what better yet was, how can I make the most amount of money in the least amount of time and have no risk? And that's just not a reality. I've seen ads like that. We make tons of cash without taking any risk. That attracts people because it's what they want, but it's not realistic. Now, you want some jelly beans. I get it. They're sugary. I want them too. I want them really bad. And they're sugary and they're attractive, and you eat them even when you're not supposed to. That's why people do the get rich quick, even though, because it just tastes so good. I can't resist it. It's so immediate, such a sugar rush. But I'll tell you, if I offer my kids some jelly beans and say, hey, we got jelly beans to eat, come on in. And it was true. I had the jelly beans when they came in. They were set over here, and I say, all you do is eat these vegetables, and then you get the jelly beans at the end. You get the jelly. I'll give you the jelly beans. Like I said, we're just going to eat these vegetables first. And all of a sudden you say, it's probably worth eating the vegetables because I get my jelly beans either way. And it's going to take me some time to eat my vegetables, but I'll get my jelly beans. That's how compounding works. The jelly beans are there, but they're not going to come up front. In before out, give before get. The word invest means I put money into something before I get it back out. I got to put it in and grow it. The farmer, come to me in this. I says, look, Greg, I want to grow some corn on my farm. I want the most corn in the least amount of time on my farm. So when should I plan on harvesting? Right now it's March. Let's say it's March. When can I harvest? What season?
I don't know anything about corn.
It's probably going to be in October when the corn grows. Okay. I want an oak tree. I want to plant an acorn, and I want an oak tree. I want a huge one, but I want it in 2 years. It's not the way the world works. But here's the good news. Plant the acorn. The oak tree will grow. Someday you're going to enjoy the shade. And guess what? You're going to be that old anyway. Just will have shade there. But plant it early as possible. Plant it early. Rate is relative. And here's the thing. I said this before. The higher rate you go for, the more risk is attached. I would never put my mother. Look, I can click a button and make $10,000 as the market's closed. So 2 hours ago, I could click a button and make $10,000 just like that. And all I have to do is write a covered call on some stocks. That's all I got to do. Click, boom, 10 grand. That's the fastest way I know in a short amount of time. The problem with that is there's risks. I could lose money doing that. I could just as easily lose 10 grand as I could make 10 grand if the stock goes up and I buy them back, right? Or the stock could drop 10 grand underlying, right? So I can make the shortest, to answer the question, most amount of money, shortest amount of time, sell an option, click, money's immediate, it's in your account, you can go spend it. There you go. Click a button. You make, but there's risk involved in that. And so the idea is the word want to or have to in process. You know, you guys are so nice to pitch. You're kind. You say every time, oh, in the link, click Andy's class or whatever. And, you know, we have our 4 pillars. Think about this for a moment. I'd like to speak to this person. What if Monday wasn't about money, and in the email I send you on Monday, there was a video where I showed how I traded stock that Monday? Is that repulsive to you, or does that excite you? What if I said I trade every Monday with a partner of mine, and every week I'll invite you to that process, and I'll let you see what it looks like to grow it and to manage those risks, and I'll show you what it looks like to lose and win. Does that process excite someone? If it does, we didn't even talk about rewards, but it's a process of learning to become an investor. Be, do, have. That person asked have and do. I want to have a lot of money. What do I do? Well, who do you want to be? Because B comes first. And that's why I love the Rich Dad team, is that this StockCast is not about stocks. It's really about your personal development and your ability to grow and have some maturity. So I get the question. I really do. How do you do it? Well, you click a button and sell an option. Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, learn how to do it. You borrow some money and you buy some real estate and you raise equity and raise debt. Equity comes from private investors. Debt comes from the banks. Put that deal together in 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is. And you can have $100 million projects. Just raise the cash from private guys, 25% from private people, 75% from the bank, and have this good deal. Just go do it. You can do it in less than a year, $100 million. But I don't know how to do that. Well, you didn't ask me how to do it. You know, you just asked me, what do I do? You know, how do you make the most money in the least amount of time? I'm just telling you how it's done. But I don't know how to do that. Well, I'm just telling you how it's done. Whether you can do it or not, usually the people that make a lot of money in a short amount of time, that get a great return on investment, understand how to deal with great risks, like borrowing hundreds of millions of dollars, right? They know how to do it. And it's usually a function of their discipline, their temperament, their education, how much they know, how many times they've lost and learned. And so am I saying there's no shortcuts? No, there's shortcuts. Learn as fast as you can. Maybe the question you ask is, how could I get smart in the shortest amount of time? How do I become the smartest investor in the shortest amount of time? Boy, now that's something I can really help you with. What you do is you find the greatest teacher in the world, Greg Arthur.
I was going to say right there. You click on the links in the description.
Look, I don't want to be a sales pitch, and I hope that didn't sound like a sales pitch, but can you feel the truth of what I'm telling you? Is if you want to go out and make $40,000 in 3 weeks without taking any risk and doing any work, does that sound like a legitimate? You know, is Kenny McElroy going to show up at that meeting? Is Tom Wheelwright and Robert Kiyosaki and Warren Buffett going to show up at that meeting? Hey guys, there's no value to be given. There's no work to be done. There's no effort to put in. You know, just show up and it's 40 grand out of the sky, no work and no risk on top of that. I'm not even going to that meeting because I know hopefully I'm smart in that. Now I'd like to go to the meeting. I'd like it to be true, but it's just not. And so if you'd like to change that question, maybe you like this one. How can I learn the most in the shortest amount of time? Now that I can help you with. Like that covered call thing I showed you, I ask people to give me about 30 days for that. Give me 30 days of practice, 30 days of paper trading, 30 days, and you'll understand it pretty doggone well. And you decide if you want to practice fake or use real money at that point for yourself. But 30 days is not 30 minutes. In a podcast is 30 minutes. Well, our producer Rob says, guys, you can't order a hamburger in 30 minutes. We can't do a podcast in 30 minutes. But I don't know. I talked a lot, Greg. You didn't interrupt much. maybe it's because you felt what I was saying making sense, or maybe you just didn't know how to deal with my.
No. Actually, you said something that made me spin a little bit. You said the higher risk, the higher reward. But then I've always took that the higher risk in the actual investment. But then you meant the higher risk as in who you are as an investor.
Thank you, Greg. Because most people look at the world through the function of the They think their success is a function of the investment. Buffett invested in stocks, but a lot of people lost money in stocks. So it must not be the stocks that are special, because a lot of people lost money in stocks. Robert Kiyosaki invested in real estate. There's people that gone bankrupt doing that. So it must not be about the real estate. Maybe it's about the investor. And the way I see it is, my mother could never, like, if she says, Andy, how do you make the most amount of money in the least amount of time? I say, Mom, watch this. Click, covered call, written, 10 grand right there. Done. She can't do it because A, she doesn't know how, and B, even though it's a conservative strategy, you could do it in your IRA. It's considered conservative. For my mother, it would be extremely risky, and I never recommend it to her. I never have my mom do it because she's just not there. There's too much risk in that. Even though it's a conservative, you can do it in your IRA if you live in the U.S. But even it's conservative, there's risk involved to it, and it limits your upside, actually. If I take that 10 grand, I'm actually taking a bird in the hand and giving up two in the bush when I do it. I really am. But if you ask, that's how I do it. I take a bird now and give up two in the bush. So I hope there's some wisdom in that people can feel some wisdom in this episode. It's a little different than
This is a personal development.
But it's kind of fun to do something different. And I think it's a question. I'm thankful for the question. I'm thankful for the person that asked it, because they just, like you said, they asked what all of us feel and what all of us wish they would want. And, I'd love to make a zillion dollars in 1 minute without having to do anything at all. But I'm going to have to learn some things. And is that okay? And besides, is it really that bad? Are we that married to something for nothing? Or is it really cool? I'll tell you what I love. I love thank yous, and I love people that write in and say thank you. And I like friends that say thank you. And I like when people say, Andy, in some way you've blessed my life. That makes me very, very happy if I haven't had an exchange with someone. Or I've had people I've given money to, and I'm so grateful that they provided a service for me that was worth the money. And I love fair exchange because it feels good. If I won the lottery, I'd probably be stoked. I won't lie. But there'd be a part of me that's like, well, who did you become in that process? And are you proud of what you did to get it? And who did you help along the way to get that money? What value did you give? You gave very, very little to get a lot. And the risk was massive. The risk of getting zero back was off the chart, and the probability was really, really low to do it. So there you have it. A lot I could share. I could talk about this for a couple hours. Actually.
Yeah, no, we got to wrap it up. But you did hit one greed muscle on me, so I just want to. You said give you 30 days. You could teach you how to do a covered call.
I can do more than that. That's just one of the things I can help people understand. I can show you how to set up a paper trade account. I can show you how to trade, beginning level stocks for capital gain. I can show you how to buy options, sell options, buy protective options, manage risk, position size. I can teach people a lot because 30 days is a good amount of time. It's not 30 minutes.
I would say the guy with a question, that'd be a short amount of time.
I don't know. I would have to ask him. But more importantly,
if I wrote that question, it'd be a short
you want to
amount of
learn.
time.
Yeah, as an education advocate, and the reason I'm an education advocate is I just really know that there's no guarantees even when you're educated. I'm still a student, but I'm so grateful for what I know right now. Last podcast we talked about inflation, and I'm still learning, and the future's unknown. But man, I'm glad for what I've learned and my mentors. I'm so grateful for that. And so this is a podcast about personal development, and people want to learn more about stocks. It's not an advice podcast. Tell me what to buy to make the most amount of money. It's not advice, because advice doesn't help anyone grow. Go buy gold. Didn't get any smarter. Go buy Bitcoin. Didn't make any smarter.
Let's talk about getting smarter real quick.
Yeah.
I know you have your 4 pillars class, the fundamentals, the technical, the risk, and the cash flow. But do you get into things like covered calls and how to like?
Oh,
like
100%. Absolutely. 100%.
You take that class within 30 days, I could be doing a covered call, assuming I applied myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not that tough. There's risk involved. You got to learn it, practice a few times. It's not that tough. It's cool. Anyone who's listening to this invested is like, that's gravy. That's not hard to do at all. But someone's going to say, well, I don't have enough money to start doing, it's just learning. It's just when we decide to become a serious student investing, that's when life starts to change. And it changes the way you think about the world. And you just lose the greed of the job and gain the unselfishness of the investor.
Thank you, Andy. And I always try to end with giving you a little plug. So in the description, you can get
I kind of gave myself my own plug.
No, you did good. But seriously, we're calling it a plug, but it helps a lot of people. You get free education. I think there's a link to 4 Pillars Class 2, but at least get the free education Andy's providing, and what could be better than more Andy? So
more ice cream, more steak,
jelly beans. All right. Well, thank you, Andy.
I appreciate the comments, and my biggest hope, though, someone wants to become a student, they want to become a student, right? But my biggest hope is that maybe 1 or 2 people had a context shift for like, I'm going to get older anyway. Today's a great day. I get it. It's wisdom. It's getting better with your temperament. It's understanding investing more. It's not get rich quick in advice. And the more people I can help shift from the culture of advice to the culture of education, better off. I think I've served someone if that happens.
Cool.
There you go.
Thanks so much, Andy.
See you, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you.